All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are coming into the next series. It's going to be a Clash of the Titans, Germany versus the Ukraine. Hell yes. That cannot be a weak match. Absolutely not. And we're going to open up with Bly versus HeRoMaRinE, I think, by the looks of it.
Oh, yes. And that actually is my analysis of this match. Now, normally we want to say something like, oh, well, HeRoMaRinE is kind of a new player on the scene. He's been training a lot, but he's kind of new to this sort of level of pressure. And then with Bly, we want to call him a little bit cheesy and all that stuff. Holy shit. In the last game, Bly played some of the best looking Zerg vs. Terran I've ever seen against Daishi. Gorgeous creep spread, crisp transitions, fast transitions, great timing on his expanding. HeRoMaRinE's builds looked impeccable. And they weren't just standard builds. They were kind of all over the map with different styles. He not only did these weird builds well, but he hit timings spot on. I mean, these two players just look good. They are recently favorites of mine, as in today.
Yeah, I think so. These have been really, really fun so far, and it continues to go that way. We have a few lobby issues here, so I'm just going to quickly log in and out again. Oh, that's Crank's account. Interesting. Don't want to log into that.
Wow, dude, you could get on there and you could proxy battlecruiser rush. And
I could tank his European MMR. It would be amazing.
Dude, think about it. You go proxy battlecruiser on Crank's account, and then if you lose, people will go, oh, dude, I beat Crank. He was going proxy battlecruiser, but hooray, it was really fun. And then when they show people the replay, they're going to be like, dude, that's not Crank. There's no way. And you'll be giggling, slandering his reputation.
And that'll kind of be the end of that grand plan. It sort of fizzles out, really, towards the end. I was hoping for some sort of Grandmaster scheme whereby amazing things happened and there were huge consequences, like the meta changed because some Korean pro player had done this. There were articles on Reddit about Crank switching to Terran. But in reality, it's just minor disappointment from a replay. Oh well.
You know, not every story has a climactic ending. A lot of stories just stop.
That's pretty much Starcraft 2 in a nutshell for the most part.
Ah. So, looks like we're doing a little bit of Derelict Watcher action again. I expect to see a pretty high queen count from Bly. HeRoMaRinE, I think, is capable of doing something a little tricky. He did the same tricky stuff in Game 1 of his last series.
He absolutely did. So we're going to see how that one turns out for him, and here we go into the game. Germany versus the Ukraine in this best-of-5 team series featuring to the southwest position in the blue trunks, playing for Team Acer and the country of Ukraine, Zerg player Bly. Versus his opponent to the northeast position, the All-Killer, took out Sweden 3-0, very convincing. Let's see if he can do it again against the Ukraine in the red trunks, playing Terran Mouse Sports HeRoMaRinE.
You know, it looks like we're probably going to see HeRoMaRinE go for a barracks into command center, just because that's what he's kind of just done.
Yep.
Bly going for the extractor trick. Nothing out of the ordinary, but let's give an extra special shout out to TB for playing a little Dekatana in the break.
Good music. Terrible game. Real shame. I remember that ad, actually. It was in the era of ads that were really, really dodgy. I used to buy a lot of games magazines in the UK, as you might imagine. And there was another ad that came out around the same time as the whole Daikatana was going to make you his bitch thing.
Yeah.
And it was for Battlecruiser 3000 AD by Derek Smart. Now, I don't know if you know Derek Smart. I don't know if you've heard anything about that guy.
Oh, I know him, but for some reason I can't just recall it out of the blue.
Let's just say he's had a turbulent online relationship. Kind of Phil Fish level of ridiculous to some degree, but it's more kind of a... He hasn't actually ever made a good game, so that puts Phil Fish sort of one level above him. And he made a game called Battlecruiser 3000 AD, which promised stuff like an AI neural net at the time, quite literally using the term neural net. And the ad that he created for this was actually just a naked woman in thigh-high latex boots on a chair with Battlecruiser 3000 AD, and the title for this ad was "She Really Wants It." And that was the ad.
Wow.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Now, I wonder if that actually worked back then. Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of marketing back then was literally wrong. It was just, like, false.
Well, I'd say there's a lot of marketing today that's false. They just made it a little more complex. I don't think when it comes to modern game marketing, they don't lie all at once. They spread it out over the course of a year and a half's worth of promotional material, and then when you actually get the game in hand, you eventually realize all the lies culminated into one big sack of crap that you unfortunately paid $60 for.
Wow. I can't believe that ad. I mean, if you have an ad that says she really wants it, and you have a gradient, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy it. Well, it looks like we are seeing the double queen straight out of Bly, per usual. I anticipate that he'll be delaying any gas for a very long time. HeRoMaRINE is doing a much more typical build, going Reaper, Reactor, Hellion. So
yes.
He is going to be able to get 4 Marines out with this build very early. It's his way of saying, I want to be extra bunker safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Ling's
he's going to not build those. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Well, he's actually going double command center, which was a little unexpected. HeRoMaRINE getting a little greedy there, which can be a little bit risky against Bly. Bly has been known to just really turn up the heat, but he is going for the queen build, and he's getting that extractor quite late. He does get a nice engagement, though.
Wow.
Bly spends 3 of his lings to kill 2. Whoa! SCV's popping into the command center, something you don't often see, but it does actually work.
Jeez. You know, now, in theory, what was happening this game is that HeRoMaRINE has to start building the reactor early to get those 4 Marines, because he doesn't know if his opponent has gas or not. He doesn't know if he's going to be up against speedlings or not. So then HeRoMaRINE scouts the main and says, oh, okay, no gas. That means you can't do any sort of speedling bust. I only need 2 Marines. But still, you heard my hesitation when I was like, really? He's not going to get the other 2? Because stuff like that can happen.
Yes.
If you get 2 Reapers, Zerg's never going to be able to do that. If you get 4 Marines, he's never going to be able to do that. But if you cut the corner to get that 3rd command center up, Zerg's going to do that. So, Bly making HeRoMaRINE pay the price.
Yeah, he delayed a little bit of mining. He killed 2 Marines with that. Didn't kill any SCVs. It would have been nice if he had, but the mining delay maybe made that worthwhile, and it certainly kept HeRoMaRINE on the back foot and kept that big mass of Terran slightly reduced, so the possibility of HeRoMaRINE pushing out with a big force is lessened by that, and now he's going to try and hold this creep spread back.
Well, usual stuff out of HeRoMaRINE. Immediately getting the double eBay. I mean, this is about as by the book as it gets. It used to be the case that players would immediately begin throwing down as many of the good old biomine as they could, the widow mines as they could, but now we tend to see players do exactly what HeRoMaRINE's doing. Get 2 barracks first, so that way they have a lot of ground defense early.
Get out double engineering bay there. Get the stim pretty early as well. It's actually not even remotely concerned about going up to Starport as of yet. He's not going to do that.
It looks like he's intending on maybe doing a little bit of dancing when he has 1-1, but mainly HeRoMaRINE's build points to a big 2-2 push, and I love the way that Bly's playing this out. I mean, this is the Zerg answer to that sort of stuff. 5 queens seems like a lot, but as we've seen, Bly knows exactly how to manage the map space.
Yeah,
creep spread.
By covering the whole thing in creep. That's one way to do it. Make sure there's no space whatsoever for the Terran plate to move around without being spotted. Oh, guys, there's 4 more barracks coming up here from HeRoMaRINE and still more starports. Still no starport, but there it is.
Yeah, HeRoMaRINE knows that he's not using any widow mines for defense. He needs units to be able to stay alive to any sort of push coming up, so he's definitely going to be barracksing up before he gets the support units for the barracks.
Yep, extremely barracks heavy here. And as you said, 2-2 definitely a possibility. 5 Marines out at the time right now. He's going to have to get the add-ons for these extra barracks up to the top here, but he is starting to produce at a reasonable pace. He's also got his reactor out that he can swap over with the starport to go for double medevac production and then commence with the drop play.
1 queen, and it looks like it will eventually be pulling back to that natural expansion hatchery. Seeing the +1 melee attacks almost done right now.
Ooh, sneaky banelings in the corner right there.
Ooh.
Just on that 3rd base as HeRoMaRINE tries to expand, and that did sneak out of the range of that, so if he's very patient, he could do something with this.
My goodness, I mean, this is just... Oh my god, I love when Bly does stuff like this. I mean, this is...
He's not going to see it. This is lovely.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be so cool. We need to keep an eye on that. Make sure we don't miss it.
I mean, the Banelings are just outside of range. They don't see any mining yet. Creep spread from Bly is just fantastic.
Already about halfway across the map. Very impressive. 4 mules just got dropped down. That is, I mean, detonating those 4 Banelings on that would be nice, but Bly's got to realize... Oh, here's the SCV train.
Oh, there it is.
All right, now is the time to go. So Bly will, I think, see mining. There, he sees mining there. So now he needs to go. He really does, especially while those mules are still full on timer. Here he goes. 2 coming in.
Oh!
Oh, it's massive! 6 workers killed 3 mules.
Excellent, excellent connection. Bottom expansion does get canceled. Mutalisk almost out. Bly is very carefully engaging this. He's trying to zone until his Mutalisk can pop out in high enough numbers. And here he goes. Now he's going to begin the engagement. We see the HeRoMaRiNE is going to try to load up immediately, but boom, there's the Mutalisk ready to chase it all down. But HeRoMaRiNe knows exactly how to position this.
Absolutely. That was beautiful, actually. He travels over the debris and then drops directly behind it so that he knows the only threat is the Mutas. And the Lings coming in from the side get roasted by the Hellions. I gotta say, HeRoMaRiNE's engagements have been really great. Admittedly, I'm a bit worried about his ability to deal with Bly's tricky play. We already noticed how effective that can be.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I don't see a 4th base from Bly. He really needs to have had that well underway, maybe even done by now. Aggressively expanding to the top left and the bottom as much as he can. And now HeRoMaRiNE is going to be able to set up the big, long chain of 1A from his main down to the southern expansion. It's the ideal angle to attack at. Really needs that top left expansion, I think, if he wants to be able to sustain well, because we can see the creep spread doesn't really do much for the bottom side.
It does not, and that side, especially with the rocks down, is very, very vulnerable to this kind of push from HeRoMaRiNE, who is getting fairly close to 2-2, although 2-2 is about to kick in here for the Zerg player. Nice little pickoffs from the side there, looking to try and take out Medivacs with those Mutalisks. Bly's Muta control didn't really serve him that well last game, but let's see if he can do it a little better. 2-2 has now kicked in, but Centrifugal Hooks is not done, and neither is Burrow, so this 4th base once again is cancelled.
Wow, this is a fairly tough spot for Bly. He has a lot of the tactics going for him, a lot of the tactical know-how, but I mean, it's an economy game right now. He needs gas. He needs that gas desperately. I mean, at this point, even a double expand would be advised.
Yeah,
oh, he's double expanding, nice.
Yeah, he gets a run by, which actually pulls HeRoMaRiNE's forces back, which is quite nice. The damage it did was fairly insignificant, only killed a couple of SCVs, but it did pull HeRoMaRiNE back, allowing him to try for that double expand. Takes one into the top left here. And the majority of his forces sort of hanging around. The creeper's almost at the bottom, which is going to make things a little bit easier. It's also creeping in front of that ramp where there's that direct access where the debris was. So that's going to be helpful as well.
Yeah.
So you can keep an eye on what HeRoMaRiNE is doing.
Now, Bly is getting an infestation pit, and this feels a little bit too early. Everything in HeRoMaRiNE's base looks excellent. He's building more turrets defensively. You can tell he's aware he has a lead.
I'm not sure what that little attack was there by Bly. It was a fairly inefficient use of Banelings, and then I think he lost the Muta as well, so I'm not really convinced by that. All the Widow Mines actually don't go off, only one of them. So I think he was hoping to try and take the Marine count out with that, but he is starting to push this back. Widow Mine's getting burrowed again. He needs to get the hell out of there. He realizes it. That was close.
More hatcheries getting produced, a hive coming up. I mean, this is literally a Zergling upgrade hive only. There's going to be no way to get Ultras. Broodlords, nothing. Actually, probably can't even afford a transition over to Infestors in any way, so... starting to see slowly HeRoMaRiNE walking forward, losing a couple of those mines, but HeRoMaRiNE is in excellent, excellent position right now.
I absolutely agree, but we know how things can go, especially with Banelings. It can go around, but so far, HeRoMaRiNE has spread well. He's put his mines in the right positions. The Banelings are not being used efficiently at this stage, and HeRoMaRiNE is slowly pushing that creep back, killing as many tumors as he can, which is fantastic. Eats it on the left-hand flank there, which is a little unfortunate, and here huge amounts of Lings die to that. Oh god, the mines.
The mines were instrumental in just turning the tide instantly in that fight, and now... I mean, Bly needs to kill off as many medevacs as he can. There's 2 key medevac pickoffs that he misses completely. His southern and northern bases are done. But, I mean, HeRoMaRiNE is just going to shove until he wins here, I think.
I think so. This third base is under threat right now. There are Banelings morphing in, but he's got to get good connections with them. The Marines move in to try and pick that off. He does have a decent mutant count of 21, but he's got to be careful with that. There is a risk that HeRoMaRinE Parade pushes a little bit too much, and Bly is able to go over that. Bly eats a mine as he goes on that as well, and then a Thor shot. He doesn't know where to go right now. HeRoMaRinE is all over him.
I mean, at this point, Mutalists and drones and Lings all need to work in coordination for one desperation shove back, with the Marines getting produced 12 at a time. Zerglings are swarming in, but that Thor has so much life. The mine count's continuing to grow. 14 Mutalists, all that remains, and there's still 34 Marines on the map.
Man, HeRoMaRinE looking for his 4th win in a row in this Nation War, which would actually make him the best performing player so far. Incredible performance. 3-3 has kicked in. And honestly, Bly has nowhere to go. His third base is about to die. He does have a 4th and 5th, but there's nothing mining at either of them. He's producing nothing but units here to try and push this back. He's going for ultras, but I think that's too late.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's on a little bit of autopilot. He's getting the Ultralisk Cavern because that's what he does when he gets a hive. But that's not the right move given the circumstances. He needs 8 gas at least to be able to transition to ultras. HeRoMaRinE is just flooding with Marines. Has a 4th base up, marching down. Probably doesn't even need to go south. He can just rally into the main. And there's the last attempt from Bly to hold on. Oh god, all the Overseers just melt.
Dear lord. Absolutely brutal. Brutal performance here from HeRoMaRinE. Buries Bly in a fairly one-sided game outside of that little trick earlier, which was really nice to see. But HeRoMaRinE is a monster. Like, he really does feel like he actually plays the very Korean style of Terran. And once he gets going, he just never goes back to his base. He just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and getting those efficient engagements. He played that superbly.
Yeah, I mean, I like your comment about he plays it in that Korean style Terran, where in a number of ways, it doesn't matter what strategy you're doing if you don't have a lot of stuff. And a lot of the Korean strategies are, I'm going to punish you for having not a lot of stuff. That's exactly what we saw in that game. No matter how great Burrow is, or cute tactics, or hiding Banelings at the backside and killing off Marines. I mean, Koss showed it in the last series. HeRoMaRinE showed it in this series. I mean, really fantastic crisp play. I do think that he might do a back-to-back 3-0.
He could. The level of mechanics on display here from HeRoMaRinE, especially considering his age, is just ridiculous. Terran has historically in StarCraft 2 not been a race that has done that well for foreigners. And right now, I say, hey, you know, point to a world-class, say, NA Terran player, and you probably say Major, and then I'd say, yes, but who else? And you'd struggle, unfortunately, because there are no other Terrans in the NA playing at that level.
Really fantastic. I mean, not just his level of play in a vacuum, but how he got to that level of play with just tons and tons of grinding. And now that he is there, it still isn't just HeRoMaRinE following a rote build. We see flexibility, we see variety, we see even willingness to do some crazy things like the double factory Hellion play. So awesome.
Yeah. It's really, really cool. I like the fact that he adapts quickly to these maps. Obviously, Derelict is an old map, so you expect a fairly old style on there. Nothing really out of the ordinary with that, but it's still very impressive to watch someone who is mechanically just rock solid, really great macro, excellent splitting, awesome engagements time and time again. His timings are on point every single game. That's what makes you a great player. You know, you can have all the flash that you like, but as we saw, that doesn't get you into Code A. So I think that we're going to be seeing an awful lot more out of HeRoMaRinE going forward here. I really love to see how he does in WCS.
For sure. I mean, he is a player to watch for. Now it means the Ukrainian team, with one of their players down, only has DIMAGA and Koss left. But I'm being a bastard by using the word only. TotalBiscuit, because they have Koss and DIMAGA left.
Yeah, they do. Both of whom are terrifying. We saw Cass play some excellent, absolutely excellent games earlier. Some really cheeky games as well. Some interesting maneuvers. He's got the ideas. And he can match HeRoMaRinE in terms of mechanics and in terms of his macro. And I think, you know, that does become a veteran versus kind of a young up-and-comer who are both very, very intense when it comes to their practice. They both have the right kind of work ethic. But then you've also got DIMAGA, who plays, in my opinion, much more rock-solid Zerg style that I think would be perhaps more more resilient to the more traditional style of Terran play that we're seeing out of HeRoMaRINE here.
Yeah, I mean, Bly played a fantastic game when things were kind of going his way. And I think that one of the hallmarks of DIMAGA in particular is his ability to just perform well, no matter what.
I think so.
So, I think that this is a good spot to send out Koss. I love his Terran versus Terran. Because, like you said, it's a sledgehammer. And I don't think anyone can be more sledgehammerer than Koss, other than perhaps Daishi.
Yeah. I think so. We're interesting to... sorry, let's try again. We are very, very interesting, so that's accurate. But regardless, we're interested to know exactly who's coming out next. DIMAGA and Cass are talking about the next map, so it is loser's pick. So I wouldn't be shocked to see either of them. It's hard to really predict from this position. I think Cass certainly has a lot of confidence in TVT. He did lose to Daishi, but it was on a very big map in a very weird way. The kind of thing that he's not really used to yet, but a more traditional style, Cass would be absolutely suited to taking on HeRoMaRINE.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one map would be the one that's tricky for Koss. He doesn't have time to really get into his zone. Even his loss versus Daishi, he still did a lot right and looked really good, so... I mean, this is probably really nice, actually, to have had the one loss with one of your players on the map that Koss is the worst at.
Yeah.
Well, I should say that his style is worst suited at. Koss can still win in most situations.
Well, Cass on Frost will be the choice here. So, nice big map. Something he's very experienced with. A map he's had a lot of practice on. Yeah, this makes sense, I think. And funnily enough, DIMAGA's actually in there, but I'm pretty sure he's watching, so never mind. Yeah, we'll be seeing Koss versus HeRoMaRINE on Frost, which should be a pretty damn good TBT.
Oh, God, I can't wait. You know, TVT is in just a beautiful spot right now where...
It is.
Mech works well, Bio works well, even on huge maps you can make one work for you, against you in one way or the other, etc., etc., etc. So, I mean, with Frost being so big, we got a chance to see Morrow versus HeRoMaRINE have a lot of interesting Hellion Viking versus Hellion Viking type stuff. Really just... I think a ton of possibilities here. The big thing, though, is that Koss is a risk taker on maps like this. And I don't know if HeRoMaRINE is really in the mood to punish that on a map like Frost. Because, I mean, if you go for a really fast Banshee and you get cross-map, that's one of the few spots where an ultra-fast Banshee actually is a little bit troublesome.
I think so. We might see that coming out of Cass, and I feel that level of experience may help him out here. HeRoMaRINE might be a mechanical mastermind, but he hasn't been playing as long as Cass. He doesn't have as much experience. He certainly doesn't ladder as much as Cass, because nobody in the world does. So, you're right. He can throw a spanner in the works quite easily and really mess with HeRoMaRINE's build, mess with his mindset, and take that momentum back for the Ukraine. I do still expect this to be a very close series, even... seeing Bly go down. I do feel Bly is probably the least consistent of the three players that the Ukraine has fielded. So I think HeRoMaRINE might be in a bit of a tough spot here going up against Cass.
Bly, least consistent while still being unbelievably consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... God, he played so great in that game. That was so cool.
He really, really did. It's just really great games today, honestly.
Absolutely. Now, for any of you who are just tuning in, a little bit about the format. The way it works, winner stays in the match. First team to get 3 wins advances. And the structure of all of the matches is a mini double elimination tournament. So right now, Team Germany, represented by HeRoMaRINE, won their first round game against Sweden. Similarly, Ukraine, Empire Koss. Ukraine beat France in the last round, so now it's Germany versus Ukraine to decide who advances as first place from the group.
That it is. And it's hard to call either way. HeRoMaRINE has put on a great performance so far. He has 4 wins to 0 losses in this tournament up to this point. He is now going up against Koss, who I feel is by far the toughest opponent he will have faced so far.
Same time, though, this is a map that permits you to do cute things while still giving you that macro opportunity. I think this might be one of the best suited maps for HeRoMaRINE.
I think you might very well be right. So let's see what happens here between these two. How good is HeRoMaRINE's TVT against a master of that art? To the northeast position on Frost LE, playing for Team Germany. Currently 4-0 in this series. Can he make it a 5th? In the blue trunks playing Terran, it's Mouse Sports HeRoMaRinE. Versus his opponent to the northwest position, the veteran, the monster. The ladder hero. So many wins under his belt over such a long time. In the red trunks, playing Terran for Team Ukraine, Empire Kass.
I wonder if there's anyone who's done anything in their life as much as Kass has laddered in StarCraft 2. I mean, it's almost like the Jiro Dreams of Sushi documentary, but for laddering.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Most players cannot keep up with that level, you know. He is Korean level of laddering. He plays so much of it. He practices a huge amount of it. And that's pretty much how he practices. And it's how he got this level of skill.
I mean, practice makes perfect. It is true that you do need some guidance with practice. It can't be pure hourage, but...
Yeah. Well, Kass thinks it can.
And here he is, having performed brilliantly for his team.
Indeed, yeah. So I guess that works.
Yeah, Kass, interestingly, is going straight for the fast gas. This has to be one of two things at this point. It has to be either ultra-fast Hellions or very swift Cloak Banshee. I should actually just say very swift Banshee in general.
I'd love to see a Banshee bearing in mind these positions. This is kind of ideal for a Banshee play.
Well, let's see what HeRoMaRinE sees as he heads up into here. Obviously spots absolutely everything. Kass now has the wonderful fortune of knowing that either HeRoMaRinE is at left, or bottom left, or top right, so it's going to be a swift Banshee distance, regardless.
Yeah. So he can't really complain about that. Factory goes down immediately, and eventually HeRoMaRinE will have to leave before we find out what's going to come out of this. And does Kass decide to get tricky with that? Because he knows there's a possibility of being scouted. However, it is a large map, so HeRoMaRinE got a little bit lucky scouting the first location. So that may mess with Kass. There is a tech lab on the way here for Kass. And bear in mind, the factory is in his base this time, so that's an unusual move there for the Ukrainian.
I know. I would love to see Proxy Thor drop, and then for Kass to thank Nathanius for the training.
Indeed. And for those who don't know, by the way, Nathanius actually won a game against Xenocider, of all people, using Proxy Thor drop in the WCS qualifiers, which was very impressive.
And it was totally awesome and gorgeously done. HeRoMaRinE appears to be sticking to his guns on this map. He says, you know what? Hellion Viking is super strong, no matter what. That's what I'm going to do. Empire Kass hasn't gotten a second gas geyser. Looks like he's declaring he just wants to be annoying with a Banshee and expand.
Yep, looks like that's going to be the case. He will be able to go straight into a Banshee, and it is lovely gas timing, really. He gets the 100 gas just as that starport completes. It's completely lined up the way that it should be. Hellion Banshee versus Hellion Viking potentially here, but those Vikings could be a problem. That is an uncloaked Banshee. There's no sign of cloak coming out, and it would take him an awful long time to get the gas for that, plus God knows how long to even get the cloak out. So this could work out well for HeRoMaRinE.
And this is a nice position for HeRoMaRinE as well in terms of timing. With his specific build, it's very easy to know when to stop muling and when to save scanning. It's whenever your second command center becomes an orbital. It's like an unbelievably easy timing to remember. It sort of scripts itself. I mean, the Banshee's popping out right now. So yeah, that's when you stop. And soon enough, there's going to be a Viking. And after that, soon enough, there will be a Raven, potentially, if he thinks Cloak is there.
Yep.
But I do think Kass is going to have a really strong chance of just losing a lot of his stuff at the front, because that one reactor add-on is such a big difference.
I think you might be right here. Looking at the army composition, we're looking at more Hellions for Kass, but not by much. And that is about to change. As you can see, the Equalizer coming in. Banshee's on its way, makes its way into the mineral line, and is going to start to do a little bit of damage. Going to do pretty significant damage, actually. The Viking is nowhere near done yet. Those Marines didn't really want to risk engaging because they know they could get picked off, which would actually weaken the front of HeRoMaRinE significantly. He is able to chase it away, but that Banshee has 7 kills. 8 kills now.
Jeez, I mean, Kass doesn't even need Cloak. He just needs to be a boss. We're seeing the Hellions move cross-map to counter to Kass, and Kass doesn't really seem to have that much. Even though he does have these Hellions and this Viking, he doesn't have a reactor. So any loss he sustains right now is enormous.
That is true. Kass is able to throw this back, however. Not much killed. 8 workers killed by Cass. That was an 11-kill Banshee before it went down, which was really effective, especially for an uncloaked Banshee. That's really, really good. We're seeing an earlier Infernal Pre-Igniter here for Empire Cass. It does mean his Hellion production is going to be very limited for a while, but HeRoMaRiNE's been chased back already.
I mean, HeRoMaRiNE is kind of doing the shove-out, pull-back thing to kind of just secure his base a little more easily. That struck me as a very defensive move. The big danger, again and again, for Cass is that he just does not have his reactor churning out. But weirdly, Cass is saying, all right, well, I needed a tech lab to get Banshee, and since I'm not going to be getting a reactor for a while, I'm just going to go ahead and use that tech lab to get Pre-Igniter. And that's kind of like a replacement reactor. And then he's going to be going for double Hellion production out of this reactor. Really cool.
Yeah, and funnily enough, even though he hasn't had the reactor, he still has a decent number of Hellions. He's got 6 versus 7, and Infernal Pre-Igniter is done, which, you know, he might as well have 10 Hellions at that point. It depends. He might get caught out of position. The engagement might be poor, but I guess we're about to find out. HeRoMaRiNE now going in, and Empire Cass picks up most of his Hellions just as the other Hellions arrive, which is definitely not ideal.
Oh, man, you know, I don't know if it matters anymore. Those poor workers, what are they doing? Those poor workers, Empire Cass, getting a little bit too overeager. This is just a gift that HeRoMaRiNE is receiving right now. He has everything rallied back. He has the Banshee. He has the Raven. He is going to be able to defend this.
I think so. The 4 Hellions did make their way in. There are a lot of Vikings, though, so let's see what he can make happen here. Not microing those Vikings, losing 1. All of the workers are just going down in Cass's base. He's taking significant losses. He finally gets the cleanup, but the question is, can he make the equalizer? That's what he's trying to do at the moment, killing as many workers as possible, but he's not getting the angles he needs. This is not working out for Cass at all.
Oh, 22 to 34. That is the worker differential. Let's get a count on the buildings. HeRoMaRiNE almost has his, well, actually both of them have nearly equal structure counts. The one big difference is still the factories and add-ons for HeRoMaRiNE. He has an extra add-on and an extra factory. That's pretty tremendous.
Yeah, that helps an awful lot here. And that could have gone a lot better for Cass, but I feel he didn't really control that drop all that well. He engaged at a bad angle. He didn't manage to chase down those SCVs, and in fact, HeRoMaRiNE's base setup seemed to work against him. And overall, HeRoMaRiNE held that pretty much about as well as you could have expected him to, and he gutted both mineral lines in the process with that attack. Yeah. It was... I was actually kind of surprised not to see Cass immediately turn around with that drop. I think the commitment to the drop may have been a mistake.
Yeah, and now we see HeRoMaRiNE just saying, well, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to kill off as many workers as possible.
Yep.
Which will force you to spend more money playing defensively and building workers, and then I'll kill you with mass Hellions.
Pretty much. And it's working out really well right now. 27 workers killed to 15, and it was such a great lead for Cass at the start with that Banshee, but then a couple of decisions that were a little bit questionable. HeRoMaRiNE hits at the perfect time just as the drop leaves. Cass elects not to turn that drop around and then loses so much as a result of that.
Yeah. I mean, these drops are almost the only hope that Cass has at this point. I mean, there's not really going to be much transitioning for a little bit of time. Sure, both players are going to want to eventually get tanks and this and that, but the phase of trying to stay alive is going to be here for a very long time. HeRoMaRiNE just forcing more scans, which costs money, killing off more SCVs, which costs money. We're now at 51 to 30, and HeRoMaRiNE still isn't building any tanks. He wants to crush in with a huge push.
Well, he's got the numbers to make that happen, certainly. However, he has to be careful. If Cass gets excellent siege tank positioning, gets some good shots off, then this could turn around. HeRoMaRiNE adds a Thor into the mix. Fight in the center of the map coming in here as well. Cass looking to get the engagement. Should be able to get the better end of that. He certainly has the superior numbers. But you do have to watch out about sending large numbers of Hellions into small numbers of Infernal Pre-Igniter Hellions, because you can still lose more than you actually kill. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it just... it's like a big multiplier. The worse positioning you have, the more punished you're going to be.
Exactly.
And, you know, I like this Thor, because basically HeRoMaRiNE's saying, all right, I want to be pushing a little bit more quickly. How many tanks do I need to do that well? Probably 5, 4, 6, something in that range. And HeRoMaRiNE's saying, you know, I don't know if I'm going to have that much. that quickly, so let me just get the Thor so I can make that push earlier. I don't want to push with one tank ever.
Cass gets some shots off, loses his drop, doesn't really kill that many workers for it, unfortunately. Gets a mule, which is nice, but that did not do anywhere near enough to blunt the economy of HeRoMaRinE. I think that the hope for Cass here is that HeRoMaRinE pushes out and somehow the tanks get miracle shots, but I don't know. Yeah. With that many Vikings, it's air dominance in favor of the German Terran. And in fact, Cass is going to move out preemptively, gets a couple of initial good shots.
His positioning is very good for Cass, and HeRoMaRinE knows only thing that can really keep him alive is the tank, so he's going to lead in with the Thor.
Yep, he wants to take those shots. It loses a bunch of... Never mind, he moves in with the Hellions, which is a bit of a mistake. The Hellbats coming in, trying to engage against these, and the Vikings are going to smash their way through.
Very interesting mix of units from HeRoMaRinE. All he's got to do is shut down the third. Doesn't even matter if that trade's inefficient.
I guess not. And at this time, the Hellbats and the Vikings and the Thor and the tank and the that's not what you usually see, but you're seeing it anyway kind of comp is working out pretty well. Vikings actually fight really well against Hellions. As you probably noticed, the Thor eventually dies from tank fire. A couple more tanks back there as well, but HeRoMaRinE survives.
Well, looks like HeRoMaRinE is still in the correct position.
Lovely Hellbat drop.
Shut the third down. Oh, yeah. Right on top. Gorgeous, gorgeous aggression here out of HeRoMaRinE. Very small tank count, uncommon to be able to pull this off. That's why he throws the Thors and the Vikings in the mix. Excellent job.
Alright, well, he hasn't killed the third yet. He's trying to set up a position to do that, but his position is very, very fragile at the moment. He's only got a couple of Hellbats and some tanks. He just lost one. Empire Cass is being incredibly annoying with these Viking drops and the Raven with its little turrets. And HeRoMaRinE actually just has this one Hellbat and one tank currently denying the third, which, again, very fragile containment.
Yeah, continuing to shut it down. And what are you going to do as Cass? I mean, look at the income tab. 1,800 to 1,200. That is what HeRoMaRinE is maintaining with this thin little pressure.
And he's walking that razor's edge, and he's getting exactly where he needs to go. It's a very, very risky thing to do, but HeRoMaRinE is evidently up to that task, and that's incredibly impressive. His control is excellent throughout this entire series. His positioning and his strategies are fantastic. Cass is bleeding hard now, and I think the vulnerability that HeRoMaRinE's push had has now evaporated, considering he just marched in with 10 more Hellbats and 2 more tanks. He is going to go right into this and do as much damage as possible. If those Hellbats even get close to that mineral line, it's going to be all over.
Oh god, really nice positioning by Cass at the backside, but a lot beats a little in almost any configuration.
Let's see how good Cass's Thor is. We've seen it in the past. He's smashing his way through Hellbats with this thing. If it only had an upgrade, it would be two-shotting them, but that's not doing the job. Cass is able to save the majority of his mineral line there, and I have to wonder, maybe, just maybe HeRoMaRinE overextended? He's starting to move across this map, but it is a large map, and reinforcements are taking a while to get there.
God, this is just elegant play by HeRoMaRinE. I mean, the consistent aggression all has purpose, continuing to shove everything back so he can target this orbital. It's all a big play to get the third, and I mean, there's nothing right now that Cass can do. He has to walk into siege tanks.
Oh, that was ugly. 4 tanks going down, and HeRoMaRinE loses none. That I think is going to be it, and Cass agrees. GG. HeRoMaRinE 5-0 so far. What the hell is happening?
Wow, he's good.
He's pretty good.
I mean, but let's not forget that there was the gift that Cass provided. I think Cass had a very clever opening build that could have set him up to establish a tremendous lead, and then he walked out the exact moment that HeRoMaRinE walked up to the front, and that is exactly why you poke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very easy to look at that and say, oh, well, I mean, HeRoMaRinE got lucky. Kind of, because if HeRoMaRinE walks up and he sees Blue Flame Hellions in large numbers, he walks away and has taken 0 damage.
Yes.
But if he sees nothing, that's why he wins the game. Like, those consistent pokes just to see if there's vulnerability is awesome.
Yeah. And he did it so very well. And you kind of mentioned the gift idea there, and I think you're right, because I am going to maintain that I feel the correct course of action, which in hindsight, you know, is always going to be 20/20, but not going in with that drop, turning that drop around, bringing it back, would have been enough to hold that easily with Blue Flame. He was slightly outnumbered, but on the ramp, there's no way the Red Flame Hellions would have beaten the Blue Flame. Absolutely not. he would have crushed that. He would have been at least equal in that game. But that drop, it had to do huge damage at that point because he'd already lost so much. And HeRoMaRinE just happily accepted the drop and said, come on in, the water's warm, and then drowned Cass in it.
And in a very comfortable, warm, sort of lit by blue flame water.
Indeed. It's like, it seems really relaxing when you first get in it, and then you realize over the course of a couple of minutes that you're actually boiling. And it's like, you know what, this was not as good a good idea as I initially thought.
Dude, never relax inside of a blue flame sauna.
No. Never do that. I don't know, I think, my experience, Elfie could probably handle it. Everybody else, no way.
Oh, that is true.
I have a story about Select and the sauna if you want to hear it.
Uh-huh, I want to hear it.
It was a little while ago. It was at an assembly event, and the Finns tried to drag us all to the sauna. I believe it actually might have... Was it the... It was either an assembly or an Asus ROG Stars, the Stars invite with 8 people. Whatever the case. They dragged everyone in there, and they brought Select in there as well. I think the only people that didn't go were myself and Huck, so we just kind of chilled out in there just talking about stuff. About 35 seconds later, Select comes out. He's kind of staggering at this point.
Excellent.
And he lies down on the wooden bench directly underneath an open window. This is Finland in the middle of winter, by the way. So, like, the outside is like -20. And for the next 20 minutes, he's rolling around in pain and just saying in the kind of Select way, I'm dying, I'm dying.
Because was it too hot?
Apparently he got baked. Like, Elfie and the Finns turned it up to massive. I think the only people left alive in there after that had all played out were Elfie and White Ra.
It was actually... It's actually, like, not a sauna. It was an oven. There's no more bacteria on him. He just, like, went in there and got cooked at 400 degrees. It's, like, one of those weird shows of manliness in Finland to, like, be cooked.
Indeed. Before that event, what you didn't know is that Select was actually a very hairy man, and then it all burned off his body in that sauna, and he's never had any body hair again.
So funny. That's what I heard.
Indeed.
I heard that he was just the hairiest guy ever, and it singed him to a cherub.
Yes. That was exactly what happened. And it's so long ago that no one is going to remember well enough to actually dispute me on that. It's like, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about Select's body hair to dispute it.
It's like, wow, I don't think that humans do that, but, I mean, TotalBiscuit has been doing esports for a long time, so I'll take his word for it. He owns a team, you know. He knows how players react to heat.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Don't send the Axiom players into a sauna. I don't think that would work out too well at all. Alright, here we go, folks. We're looking at a potential double all-kill in the hands of HeRoMaRinE here. What a monster to the southeast position, representing Team Germany in the red trunks. They're red with the blood of his enemies. He is massacring. He's already successfully invaded Sweden, a previously neutral country, and dominated that, and now he's working on let's try again. I always said the Nukraine, which is like, hang on a minute, that's no. Ukraine. This gets political. It's an international incident happening here. To the west position, of course, we have the veteran himself, recent winner of the Esports Venture Cup in the Blue Trunks, the last man standing for Ukraine. It is DIMAGA.
Now, if there's one person that could pull it back easily, it would definitely be DIMAGA. This is an unusual map for Terran versus Zerg because nobody can die. So I really wonder if there's a way to get DIMAGA to surrender. Or, well, I mean, HeRoMaRinE will likely have some big Hellion aggression plan from the get-go.
I think so. I would like to see something like that out of him. He has shown a really good ability to adapt to new maps. This is huge. It's an absolutely massive map. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does. You will CC first, of course, because you wouldn't do really anything else on this map. Admittedly, I suppose there's some ridiculous cheeses you could pull off, but it depends on where your opponent is, and HeRoMaRinE hasn't even scouted yet. He's now only just leaving the base, and if he scouts in the wrong direction, well, he's not going to know for a while, but it looks like he's actually heading the right way.
Well, I mean, going for the command center first it's almost a given on this map. I mean, even if your opponent 6 pulls you, like, the Zerglings have to stop and get gas on the way there. So you can, like, command center, not in wall in, and still have enough time to get a barracks and a depot up for the wall off. It's too straightforward. I mean, I even think DIMAGA should probably be going 3 hatch before pool here, but even in this spot, He's going to be getting it by 6 minutes, guaranteed.
Now, what do you think the difference would be in the TVZ matchup with the spawn positions as they are versus, say, a cross position?
Well, I mean, the most notable thing is how easy it is to drop DIMAGA at this south side. That's going to be a little bit of a pain. It's also not easy for DIMAGA to use his Mutalisk to harass any of the Terran expansions. I mean, you might talk about the top right expansion for HeRoMaRinE, but imagine Mutalisk there, and then try to have those Mutalisks in your head retreat all the way back around the map. I mean, it's like impossible. Yeah. So DIMAGA is pinned to defense. His Mutalisk will only be able to pick off units at the front, occasionally target production. I mean, DIMAGA is locked into defense. If it were cross-map, DIMAGA could spend a little bit more time doing some offensive stuff too.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, and that could be a difficult position here for the Zerg player. DIMAGA very much plays a traditional style, and I have to wonder what he's going to try and do to make this work. In the meantime, of course, we see no aggression whatsoever. The third hatchery is down for DIMAGA. He does know where his opponent is. He has scouted that, and he has to expect, of course, the CC first, so he knows what his opponent's doing. But I wonder what ends up happening here in the next few minutes. Obviously, Hellions would be a great choice for this map, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to be getting.
Yeah, I mean, you're almost always going to get some Hellions unless you're a bomber and you figured out that you can build only Marines, and that's kind of the same. But it's a question of how many Hellions. And I think that HeRoMaRinE originally was intending on getting more, but now that that's a delayed third hatchery at that front... actually, excuse me, that's a faster hatchery. I misread the timer. He might go up to 6, but still, given that we see that third command center, I think HeRoMaRinE is just going to play the ultimate slow, powery, do nothing, stay chill kind of style.
Tech Lab on the way up here. Most likely going to see either Stim or Combat Shield coming out very shortly. We'll see what in a minute. Bunker coming up here for HeRoMaRinE as well. Is perhaps just a little bit worried that DIMAGA might decide to bust him out of nowhere.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things that it's like it almost can't be bad. If you have the money to do it, which you do because you want Command Center first, you can salvage that later. It'll only cost you $30 and some time.
Pretty much, and if a bust happens to come along, that bunker will be invaluable. DIMAGA with the creep spread here on the third. Takes not too long to connect the main and the third, which is quite nice. You just need a couple of tumors and then you can really link it up. Double Evo chamber coming up at the top of the ramp there. And now it comes down to DIMAGA to defend this third base against any kind of harass. And we're seeing 6 Hellions. I wonder if we'll see any more than that.
Probably gonna halt at 6. I mean, it's generally 4 if you're really cutting corners, and 6 if you want to be the most by-the-book person ever.
Yep.
Here, I do think it might be okay to not rush out a bunch of barracks, but, I mean, it's just become so much the default that HeRoMaRiNE's doing it anyways. And there's the 6 Hellions out. Of course, this is why you do stop at 6, so you can build that second reactor.
19 drones being built by DIMAGA. He surges forward to 67, because why the hell not? He doesn't need units, he's got queens.
He's really good at just flooding so fast. I mean, his queen energy is super low, and he does have a lot of queen. He has 6 right now. He's one of the best queen players of any Zerg.
Very true.
He doesn't get disorganized at all.
No, he keeps the injects up, he keeps the right amount of queens at the front, and he spreads creep well. Perhaps not to the level of Bly, who is just a berserker when it comes to spreading creep. DIMAGA a little bit more conservative, but very good on the defense.
Pretty cool play at this point in time. I mean, we're seeing DIMAGA just get up his macro hatch. He's taking himself a 4th very, very swiftly, as is to be expected on this map. It's the 5th base that normally you'd begin as a point of contention, but I mean, HeRoMaRinE won't even really be able to assault that. I actually don't really know how you make good attacks on this map as Terran. I think you probably have to cut mines. I think they're a little bit too immobile. You have to only get some mines and then get mostly Hellbats. I mean, that sounds right.
I think so. It is a very tricky map to understand, because people might just look at it and say, oh, all right, well, you just play it the same way as you played Whirlwind and things like. No, it's huge. It's massive. I mean, look at the bloody size of this thing.
Yeah.
it's really difficult to understand how exactly builds will go there. And the more I see of this map, actually, as much as I initially hated it, and a lot of players hated it as well, we are seeing some cool games on it. So I hope that big maps are things that are included in map pools in the future, as long as it isn't all that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of one of these funny things where it's all tied to expansions in this game. It's all about if you can expand to the right place at the right time, and so on and so forth, and how that changes what your attack paths are. And in this position, obviously Zerg can easily get up like 5 bases without much of an issue. But does 5 bases really help you? You can't afford to get that many drones to mine minerals at all those locations, so you're definitely not going to be increasing your mineral income. Well, okay, well maybe we just put guys in gas. That only takes 6 workers to fully saturate that. So that's the real question in my eyes. How's DIMAGA going to use all that excess gas?
Well, right now he just lost his entire mineral line at the natural, so you might want to consider building a few more workers there. The spines were on the way. He suspected, oh, there could be an attack, but HeRoMaRinE, again, somehow gets in at the right time before the spines complete and deals massive damage. 13 workers killed. He's also isolated the queens at the front. 1 queen, 2 queen. Oh, there we go. 2 queen. Just saved it, but he's going to... might almost lose the last one as well. HeRoMaRinE, a dominant performance already. This kid is legit.
Yeah, to show how great his timing is, look at his upgrades. He's nowhere close to being done with 2-2. He's just discovered this timing out of nowhere.
Incredible stuff already. And now he's able to get out of there just to evacuate. He's going right back to the natural, which does have a Spore Crawler and a Spine. There are, oh, Mutalisks out of nowhere. HeRoMaRinE did not expect that.
Yeah, I mean, probably should have been anticipating it. We're just past 12 minutes. Anas slowing down the game. Oh, God. Well, I mean, one of the basics for timings is you attack right as one of your upgrades finishes. But also, you can attack before one of your enemy's key upgrades finishes. And those are the hard timings to hit. HeRoMaRinE did a beautiful job with that attack, hitting right before the Mutalisks. And here we see DIMAGA able to do some poking, will be able to pull back in time, but not a good position for HeRoMaRinE.
Not exactly. You know, he lost quite a lot in that engagement, and that's perhaps the first big misstep that we've actually seen from HeRoMaRinE up to this point. Bear in mind, DIMAGA is really, really good at StarCraft 2. Absurdly good. He's won major tournaments, one of the best foreign Zergs to ever exist, and is now getting back on form as well. You know, he has these times where he disappears from the spotlight, and then he comes back and reminds people, yeah, I was the first guy to beat Nestea in a televised match. I was good back then, I'm really good right now, so you better pay attention.
Now we see DIMAGA trying to intercept this force, trying to whittle it away as much as possible. Oh no, he waited too long. He waited too long. He's going to take a big hit there. Oh my God, those Zerglings barely saved the day for those Mutas.
Indeed. He managed to get away with it, but only just. More Banelings now coming in. At least he's got the speed upgrade. Let's see. HeRoMaRinE splits. He usually got... oh, the Widowmine hits are brutal, but will they be enough? There are so many Zerg units coming in. DIMAGA continues to flood the units. He overwhelms it.
I mean, it's rare to see a Zerg player get battered down early and then win a battle due to number of Zerglings. I mean, Mutalisks can do amazing micro and get extra value. Banelings can get great connections and get extra value. A Zergling is just a Zergling, though. They only succeed when you have a lot of them. And how the hell did DIMAGA manage to get that many out of the blue? 4 queens still pumping larvae into every one of those hatches.
Oh man, his macro is that damn good. He injects both that and the macro hatcheries on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hatcheries worth of lava. He doesn't have a queen at the top. In fact, he's focusing just on a little bit of mining here, but he's still getting 3 extra lava from that. He's pumping out huge amounts of units at once, which is fantastic. I mean, it's the exact way you should see Ling Baneling Muta played, and it's really working out very, very well for him at the moment. And HeRoMaRinE suddenly is actually on the back foot, if you can believe that. Hive is about to complete 3-3, and Adrenal Glands will kick in fairly soon. DIMAGA.
Oh, what the third? DIMAGA's rolling in with some Banelings. HeRoMaRinE with that snap react.
Very nice.
Pulling back.
That was really good. He could have lost a lot there. And, in fact, it was a little bit of DIMAGA's mistake as well. He actually ran 3 Banelings into a constructing missile turret, which must have locked onto the SCV around that. DIMAGA looking for more harassment. Takes a little bit of Mutalisk damage in the process, but is able to successfully harass that 4th base. And Worker's Kill is starting to get up there for DIMAGA. He hasn't done a huge amount of damage yet, but he's going to start camping production facilities and killing add-ons, which I think is a wonderful way of doing things. It's a really great way to break the macro of your opponent.
Absolutely. Mutalisk moving in. Another thing those Banelings provide, an ability for those Mutalisks to get into a good spot. But here's the danger. DIMAGA did do the good tactics to be able to get those Mutas in position, but does he have enough Baneling at home to deal with this force? DIMAGA says the answer is yes. Mines blast the front line of Zerglings down, and with incredible splits, but there's still too many Banelings.
It doesn't matter if you split against that much. You could be Innovation and you can't split against that much. There's so many units for DIMAGA. 58 more Lings in production. He reloads with yet another. And more to the point, through this entire time, he's actually on 93 drones. He's using big forces of Bane Remaxes to batter his opponent into submission.
This is just a marvelous game to watch. I mean, HeRoMaRinE, though, does have 3-3. All the Hive Tech, all the Orange Quartet, Ground Carapace, Ground Armor, Adrenal Glands, Chitinous Plating, none of them are done. 6th base going down for DIMAGA, who is mining now fully from 10 geysers, starting to pull off that transition, but HeRoMaRinE is still in a threatening spot.
Yeah, he still has a big army. HeRoMaRiNE's macro is good. He is sitting on 4 bases, so he will be able to push that back. He now has 3/3 Marines as well, so those mutas are, one mistake in that Mutaflux just evaporates into a little shower of blood. It's not what you want.
Well, at this point in time, HeRoMaRiNE's got to play it slow. At the very start of the game, we talked about the idea of, like, where do you attack? I mean, look at this. This drop from HeRoMaRinE. DIMAGA waltzes up there, kills it off. What expansion do you target? And when in doubt, go for the closest one. HeRoMaRinE has to step forward so cautiously. Oh, that is so brutal. True Zergstorm style from DIMAGA.
God, he just ran over that. He doesn't even care that there are mines. He just like, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to roll all over it. Those mines were terrible, actually, for HeRoMaRinE. He loses more of his own units than the opponent. The mine goes off. The Ultralisks continue to get in there. They don't have well, they actually do have Chitinous Plating. They don't have +3, but I don't think that really matters at this point. HeRoMaRinE with a fantastic set of splits. Will it be enough? There are so many Banelings.
I mean, rarely does it happen that you overwhelm the Terran army so much when you're both maxed that you chase him all the way back to his base on the biggest map in the map pool and almost kill him.
The Mutalisks! Oh my gosh! Holy shit, how many Mutalisks just died there? Oh god.
Every single one, John.
20 Mutalisks just went down. I can't believe it. I don't know if that turns the game around, but that was... Oh.
That was...
Jesus. So many Mutalisks dying to 4 Widow Mines there. DIMAGA's remaxed again, but that's gonna hurt anyway. It doesn't even matter. It's like, oh, I want my late game composition. Losing 25 mutas to 4 mines is not acceptable in any circumstance.
I mean, wow, what a thing.
That was, yeah. I don't know how you even describe that. That was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, normally killing off armies has relevance. Normally, killing off an army is like a notable thing, but they functionally have infinite money.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you even define dealing damage?
It's hard to say, really. You lose the Mutalisks, but you're looking for a big ultra composition anyway. And we just watched 2,000 gas evaporate into the air there. And it doesn't seem to really matter that much, because DIMAGA's actually... Oh, he's using the trick. He's on 209 supply.
Oh, my God.
I love it.
He's Extractor tricking past max, and now we may see the very same downfall that Bly brought, the Daishi, the Ultra... Broodlord army. Oh, there's no infestors, though.
No, exactly.
Who needs infestors?
Yeah, that's the thing which hurts him here. Bear in mind, he's still on 92 drones. His army is relatively small. The Terran army is larger, and he doesn't have a way of locking that army down right now. He is using Lings of pushing this back. I think he may just have the brute force he needs. More Banelings go off. The Marauders get cleaved into pieces by this Ultralisk here. More damage done to HeRoMaRinE. He was overstimming his units. But you're right, infestors, and he's adding them in now. That, I think, will be the thing that really makes this composition shine.
I mean, not missing a beat. We're seeing DIMAGA continue to upgrade. You look at his expansions, DIMAGA has evenly distributed his drones among all of his bases. He doesn't randomly have one with a ton of units at it, so...
Man, Widow Mines are actually a liability in this position. Because
yeah.
the Broodlings can set them off there, but it's not going to really matter. DIMAGA's going up for it once again, and that was actually not a good engagement for him. Good amount of Marauders and Thors come in. Needs that Infesta count. He doesn't really have it. There's a Fungal that goes down the center here. Good splits again from HeRoMaRinE. The Ultralisks are starting to peter off, but there's still too many Broodlords at the back, and they're still untouched.
Gosh, I mean, it's not a huge number of Broodlords. It's just 4 right now. But this is what makes DIMAGA true Swarm Zerg style. When his units die, he holds that Z button to replenish with Zerglings
80.
so he can extend the life of that one single push. And while he's extending the life of that push, he's building up gas for the second huge follow-up swing. 4 hatches in production. 4 hatcheries.
How many hatcheries does he currently have? He has...
6 hatcheries. He's going to be going to 10 hatches.
Wow.
Oh, there's the big stem, and we see there's enough Vikings.
Oh, that fungal!
Oh my god, a dirty
brutal.
Fungal.
Really nice. And now HeRoMaRinE is on the back foot. DIMAGA overwhelming the young German Terran player who is on the verge of a double all kill. It's not happening right now. The fungal says absolutely not. You're not going to be able to pull that off. The Broodlords, however, did die. The Vikings took them out, but I don't know if that's going to matter at this point.
Unreal.
Oh,
good
beautiful
game, DIMAGA. After HeRoMaRinE goes 5-0, DIMAGA smacks him back down to still being the most successful player we've seen in the Nation War thus far. But my god, did DIMAGA just make a gorgeous-looking game there.
That was just brilliant. It really was. And DIMAGA played that on a really high drone count, like 92 drones the entire time. He wasn't even using that large an army. He was using a high-quality army and reloading it time and time again with what he needed at the time. And that's really hard to deal with.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm that was fun. That was a very fun game. This is exactly why you and I were both excited for Ukraine versus Germany. So now it's going to be Socke or TLO coming out. I do think it'll be TLO to come out. TLO does have some pretty snazzy Baneling micro and Zerg versus Zerg. TLO does seem not to recoil from those mirror matchups as other players would.
Yeah, I'd send TLO in this position. And Socke's a good finisher, I think. He does definitely have a very real chance of killing DIMAGA, even though DIMAGA is extremely good in Zerg vs. Protoss, and still is. I mean, bear in mind, to win his latest cup a few days ago, he did beat Baby Knight in a best of 7. Yeah. So his run through that was actually really, really impressive. And I think that they might be considering that as a possibility. So I think you're right with TLO. I think ZVZ is the best bet here to try and knock out DIMAGA and not go into another protracted macro game where DIMAGA really shines.
For sure. I mean, the longer the game... Well, you know, I want to say something cool like the longer the game goes on, the stronger an advantage DIMAGA has. But when DIMAGA's in the game, he probably has an advantage. He is just so good at all stages of the game, especially when he falls behind.
Yeah, I think so. He's just rock solid in general. It's really cool to see DIMAGA playing so well at the moment. And I wouldn't say that's a surprise, but again, DIMAGA kind of goes through these phases of just sort of falling off the map for a while and then coming back with some wins. Right now, he's currently teamless as well. He has a personal sponsorship from Roccat. But he is not on a team anymore because, of course, NTW Mind Factory did... Well, it went away, as so many teams have in the last couple of years, unfortunately.
It faded into an acronym you don't recognize in 6 months.
Yeah, that is very, very true. That's a shame.
But at the same time, you know, DIMAGA is one of the most dedicated players. I mean, some months he streams 160 hours. He's not... he's one of those people who I just don't quite get how his reputation exists the way it does, given what's publicly there. You know, a lot of times people are like, yeah, I mean, DIMAGA must just practice really quietly, maybe with Koreans, because he always seems to come out of nowhere. Maybe he's just one of those natural talents, you know, like a Stefano who doesn't play a lot, does well, and then you just look and DIMAGA plays so much and streams it all and posts a lot and participates in tons of tournaments. And you're like, wow, why did I ever think that?
Yeah, I don't know why people believe that. But he is showing us right here with a fantastic set of games, and it will be TLO.
I like it.
It will be TLO.
I like it. I mean, the map is Polar Night. It's a very weird little map. A very tense little map. Mutalisks can do some good work here, but, I mean, by and large, we see players really enjoying the good old standard roachness.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. DIMAGA has requested a break, so we're going to take that. When we come back, DIMAGA versus TLO. Will we see Germany be able to close it out, or will the Ukraine comeback continue? We'll find out after this break, folks. You're watching Nation Wars, brought to you by O Gaming, sponsored by Dailymotion and Numeric. We'll see you shortly. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the O Gaming Nation Wars. We've got Germany versus Ukraine coming in right here, and TLO will be facing off against DIMAGA that just prevented the double all kill from HeRoMaRinE of Germany.
So good.
It was a good game. Really good game, in fact. And now we get to see a bit of ZVZ involving DIMAGA. DIMAGA is definitely a great ZVZ player. He historically has been. I mentioned in the previous match that he was the first foreign player. I think, wasn't he the first any player to beat Nest-T in a televised Zerg versus Zerg best of X? Pretty sure he was.
Best of 3, and then he went to the Korea versus the World match and beat Nest-T, or he beat MVP.
Yes, he did.
As well.
Which is...
They played an incredibly long game that went to an hour and then disconnected, and then they rehosted. And he won with a Baneling all-in.
Well, that's the way to do it, I guess. But yeah, DIMAGA is consistently impressive, and I'm looking forward to seeing TLO against him. But in the south position, in the blue trunks, playing Zerg. For the Ukraine, it is DIMAGA. Versus his opponent to the north position in the red trunks, playing Zerg as well, from Team Liquid and representing Germany, who's looking to close out this series and take them through to day 3. Team Liquid's TLO.
TLO is pretty slick. I mean, for as much as we may want to say stuff about, you know, oh, he plays very unorthodox, inconsistent, all that stuff, he is just very consistent. He's very good. He is one of the top-ranked WCS players of all time, as well as currently ranked 26. Statistically speaking, if you look at his tournament performance and his results, he is the #1 ranked player in Germany, just based on that.
Yeah, he is. Which a lot of people might be surprised by, because I think it's more so the community hype surrounding TLO that really leads to a lot of disappointment, because he's got this whole, oh, he's so innovative kind of thing going on for him. And he has had it for the past 4 years, and he was very, very interesting and innovative. He came up with several very unusual builds in the beta and, of course, early wings. But honestly, since then, he's become more of a solid Zerg that has decent performances in any tournament he goes to. But he doesn't win that many of them, at least outside of Germany.
Yeah, he has struggled to really put that huge win under his belt, but that's one thing I really admire about TLO is that he's unwilling to quit. He's extremely dedicated. I mean, there's been times when I've heard, people say, "Hey, TLO, you want to, do you want to work with me on this thing, or maybe want to cast for my event?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm happy to cast, but you have to know that I will always put my career in pro gaming first, and that's my #1 priority, period." Yeah. And really, it's that level of dedication that gets you to be one of the most consistent players.
Yeah, it's quite surprising, really, because especially when he was having a really big slump around wings, a lot of people said, all right, okay, you're one of the old guard, it's time for you to retire, it's time for you to go into casting because you're very good at it. And he is, don't get me wrong. But that never happened, and he then started to have this resurgence. He started to get some good results in Heart of the Swarm, and he continues to get good results and place reasonably highly. As we said, he doesn't win those events, but he places high, he does well, he takes out players you wouldn't necessarily expect, and there is a level of consistency there now from TLO, whereas before he was a very spiky player. He had bursts of brilliance, and then he would fall much, much harder as a result of that.
Now, first we got to go to TLO's camp. He has stayed very conservative with everything. He's going for 4 Queen, very simple defense. He doesn't have a Spine Crawler because he hasn't spotted anything amiss. He's getting late gas. This generally looks something a little roachy, but it does have flexibility to do other things. The important aspect of what TLO's doing, staying tight on 2 bases.
Yep.
Now look at DIMAGA. What is going on? 1 gas for fast speed, pull all guys out of gas, take a third, faster than you do against Terran, the matchup where you will almost always get a 3rd base super fast. I mean, this is an insane pace that we're seeing out right now for DIMAGA, and something that I think TLO's probably not going to be expecting. I mean, the Overlords are just spreading out in a way to block the front, but not to do anything to check out the 3rd.
Yeah, they haven't seen a damn thing as of yet, because I guess you just wouldn't necessarily expect it. He'll check there eventually, because perhaps he looks there and says, oh, I didn't see a drone going over there, maybe I should have a look. And what he'll find is a complete hatchery. He may see the drone transfer. That's a very big possibility. Roach Warren on the way up for TLO, as you pointed out, and it looks like he's going double upgrades on the Roach here, and straight up to lair. Roach Warren of DIMAGA's own coming out, though.
This is an insane move from DIMAGA, like, so insane. We're seeing, like, Evo, Baneling, Roach, and delayed layer. I mean, TLO is clearly going for an upgrade advantage. And given that we see so many Roaches in the mid-game in this matchup, couple things I want to note right away. DIMAGA has a vision advantage. Look at his vision on the minimap. Absolutely immaculate spread, has everything covered. Look at TLO's Overlord spread. Has 2 forward Overlords, significantly weaker. Drone lead goes to DIMAGA. Yeah.
Absolutely. The question is, can he hold off the aggression? Because there are 7 Roaches on the way. Roach speed on the way as well. Missile attack is about halfway done here. And TLO is not going to let him keep that 3rd. Not for that long. He already knows, uh-oh, you managed to get an advantage. You're starting to mine from that. You get a lava advantage. You get a mining advantage here. I need to stop that. I need to do something about it. Roaches are now already on the way. TLO is marching his queens across the map.
I like this. He knows that he needs to do a big timing attack right when his 1-1 is done. Because you just have to keep asking yourself, what is my advantage? Do I have a Roach unit advantage? Maybe. Do I have a drone advantage? Probably not. Do I have a vision advantage? Definitely not. But the one thing I know I have is an upgrade advantage. My layer was earlier, and my Evo chambers are earlier. So I have to strike when that advantage is highest. TLO is just doing some preliminary pokes. These are non-committal because, well, the Roach speeds are both the same.
That they are, but they won't be in a minute. If he waits a few more seconds, he doesn't have the benefit of our nice little Game Heart upgrade timers, but missile attack just finished. Speed is in 10 seconds right now. The Queens are coming into support, and we're seeing some transfuses here as well. Baneling's crash into the center, fairly inefficiently, but defender's advantage is a big deal, and DIMAGA is pushing this back.
Look at this build from DIMAGA. He has an overwhelming amount of units. I mean, TLO does have the Roach lead, but in terms of the units at the front, it's still fairly even. More Roaches for DIMAGA in this battle. But then with the Zerglings sweeping in, those provide a nice buffer to make up for that lack of upgrades. The big danger, though, TLO is 1-1 against DIMAGA's only 1-0.
That is true. Nice little transfuse there by TLO as well. A slightly better concave for TLO. Reinforcements streaming in. This is a little bit too far away from the base here for DIMAGA as well, but let's see if we can shove it back. DIMAGA is now being pushed out of the way. He doesn't have speed yet. TLO does, so retreating for DIMAGA is always going to be a bit of a risk. The count is currently 21 in favor of TLO. However, not all the Roaches are here yet, and there's Lings coming in to support as well. Another Queen pops out. DIMAGA shoving this back.
I mean, this is a very, very, very close fight. In this spot, TLO is maintaining that upgrade lead by getting the Evo Chamber +2, but DIMAGA still has a drone lead. TLO is essentially treading water right now. He's not falling ahead or behind in one way, though. He is getting that +2 attack.
Alright, well, DIMAGA has actually increased his Roach count to the fact where he's actually got a lead over his opponent, and Defender's advantage means you probably don't want to do this. 2-2 is on the way, though, for TLO. I mean, that is a pretty significant upgrade lead. DIMAGA's on 1-0. If 2-2 kicks in with 1-0 Roaches, that could change things very rapidly.
And this is a nice moment for TLO to drone. It's a little counterintuitive because your attack is actually just halted, but DIMAGA does have to keep building Roaches for a little bit of time. There's TLO's threat of suddenly swinging in for round 2. So TLO can sneak in, 7 to 10 drones, and then immediately return back to roaching. And now TLO's goal is defend and rely on Defender's advantage until 2-2 is done. TLO now has enough money to support Larva coming out of that hatchery as well. So I think DIMAGA's likely going to want to play very passively, probably even be shooting for Hydralisks.
Do you think that the build that DIMAGA did after all of those attacks actually paid off for him in a big way, or have things just kind of evened out now?
I think that it is a good move because it forces TLO to do some kind of response like that. I mean, if TLO does nothing, then DIMAGA gets an easy-peasy win. But because TLO did do that, now DIMAGA has TLO in a very predictable situation. This is exactly the spot that DIMAGA would be in anytime he holds off that sort of attack. TLO, on the other hand, is still up against a weird build and is still up against the unknown. So there's not a lot of timing that he can rely on. It has to be intuition and judgment.
We saw a cool move from TLO there with the Contaminate on the front Evolution Chamber, which has slowed that missile attack upgrade significantly. And TLO is going to do that again by the looks of it. He actually doesn't have the energy for it. He'll do it in a few seconds. Contaminate is quite expensive. It's 125. But TLO is lining up a big 2-2 Roach Ball.
Dude, just to note, Contaminate is the most expensive spell in the game. There is no other spell that costs 125.
Wow. Well, there you
go.
kind
of funny, eh?
All right. TLO with a fight.
Concave. Look at the concave from DIMAGA. Oh my god.
It's pretty damn good. And TLO engaged before his ground carapace upgrade had finished. That was unnecessary, in my opinion. Let's see if we can break through the Banelings and make connection with the center here. But there's going to be Roaches continuing to reinforce and flood in. It looks like DIMAGA's going to hold this.
Well, right now it's 27-20, but you always have to ask, where are the Roaches? DIMAGA has more Roaches on the front line of the battle, so he's starting to get an edge there. I mean, DIMAGA relying purely on defense is really adding up. All of a sudden, DIMAGA is now getting a big gas lead. We see 5 geysers done for DIMAGA. We only see 4 done for TLO, and in terms of drones, still just a few more for DIMAGA.
I wonder how much the +1 upgrade for armor would have made a difference there. Probably not, considering the amount of damage it was being done by the Roaches there. But it was a little strange to see TLO attack 10 seconds before that upgrade had been done. I guess he thought it was done, but it wasn't. Now he's going to go in again, do a little bit of damage. +2 missile attack is going to kick in for DIMAGA in the next 30 or so seconds, though.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sense that TLO was pretty sure the engagement would happen a little later than it did begin, and was just surprised to see DIMAGA go, oh, you have dudes, cool, go. TLO was forced to fight there, because if he retreats, he's going to lose probably 6 to 8 Roaches on the retreat.
Yeah, which would certainly not be very good whatsoever. Missile attack upgrade is now finally about to finish for DIMAGA. It's actually the longest missile attack upgrade in history. I believe that has been double contaminated throughout this entire thing, so that took ages. And DIMAGA is still building off of a single evolution chamber, so if TLO can keep this pace up, he's going to be in a good spot. But the thing is, he's not going to want to do that. he doesn't want to go to Hive. He wants to build Hydralisks, and he's going to have to invest gas in the upgrades for those.
Yeah, I mean, the Hydra transition is the really sort of sly one that we're going to be seeing at this point in time. I mean, getting the Hydralisks out is weirdly effective, especially if the numbers can get big. It's like a really odd curve for the correct number of Hydras relative to Roaches. In like very small numbers, you want a lot more Roaches, and in mid numbers, it's okay to have a lot of Hydras, but like if you get too big and the angle's bad, it's bad to have a lot of Hydras. I mean, there's like 1,000,001 variables that make Hydras good or bad. The interesting thing to me is that DIMAGA's getting no Hydras, he's getting just Banelings.
He's going to have to rely on a good engagement to be able to take out those Hydralisks with the Banelings. The Roach count for both sides is extremely high. 63 on DIMAGA's side, 59. But there are 8 Hydras in that mix. So overall, the DPS for TLO is larger. But I almost kind of like the Baneling pick, because as counterintuitive as it seems to get Banelings against Roaches, the larger this Roach count gets, the more bunched up it gets, the more effective those Banelings will actually be.
Wow, I mean, that would be super sick to see burrowed Banelings in this game, but now all of a sudden I'm starting to turn into a just like a fantasy fanboy, right? Like, oh my god.
That would be insane, wouldn't it? Whoa, both of these guys are actually pushing the supply above what it's supposed to be. 211 supply on the field for TLO right now. Doing the DIMAGA's doing the 15 spore trick. 215 supply versus 211, folks. How often do you see that?
This. Oh my god, they're both flooding huge numbers of Banelings. This is so cool. Most people define this matchup as mostly Roaches with some other variants. Maybe some Roach Hydra, maybe some Roach Infestor, but here it's Roach Baneling, which still makes it a Roach-centric matchup, but it's different.
There's 48 Banelings coming out here for DIMAGA. This is insane.
Oh my god, and they have speed, which means that they can get into position sooner. DIMAGA's gonna have a tremendous concave, and here everything's gonna roll in. Oh my god.
Borrowed Banelings for DIMAGA. TLO, in fact, you said, hey, wouldn't it be cool? It turns out it is cool. Banelings are trying to get in here, but this is so weird, because the Banelings are kind of stuck behind the Roaches.
What a match.
This is strange. This is really odd. DIMAGA's still on 211 supply. Good lord.
Unreal. Absolutely wild match that we're seeing here. Both players have fourths, but TLO's is a big target. Right now, DIMAGA desperately wants to take those out. No speed anywhere close to done for TLO.
Not even. DIMAGA looking for a big concave there. TLO takes a bit of damage, reinforced with 30 more Banelings. Here we go. And the Banelings coming into the center of this. Oh my god! He just batters his way through the front.
Oh my god, 45 to 13. DIMAGA with the insane opening. With now Roaches splitting up to deal damage to the third. DIMAGA going for a safe, smart play here. Pulling back to annihilate expansions, to keep that gas count low, to keep the mineral income low. And still DIMAGA has 2k, 1k in his bank.
The madness from DIMAGA. Just using the Banelings as a battering ram right into the center of that Roach force. Seemed ridiculous. Did the job. And right now, DIMAGA is going to try and finish this off. TLO does not have the numbers to fight against DIMAGA right now. The upgrade advantage is meaningless. There's a Hydra at the back. And now it's horribly dead. And everything else, by the looks of it, is going down as well. The supply of TLO plummets below 100. And DIMAGA looking to put the nail in the coffin here.
Oh my god. I can't wait to see the public reaction to that moment. What an amazing blast.
Insane.
50 Banelings with speed. Roach Baneling versus Roach Baneling. Burrowed attempts from TLO got flubbed. Now DIMAGA stamps forward with 66 Roaches.
What? Against 10. You know, this is pretty much over at this point, folks. Interestingly enough, throughout the engagements, TLO only just finished his centrifugal hooks, so he never had it in that entire engagement. I wonder if that played a factor, but right now it doesn't really matter. TLO's about to die.
Wow, DIMAGA, his team was down 0-2, played an amazing game back-to-back, ties it up. Oh my god. Dude, John, that was amazing.
That was cool. Rarely, I suppose, do you ever hear the word cool associated with a Roach war, but when you add 50 Banelings on either side into the mix, and both sides are above 200 supply, that's when things start to get really entertaining.
Wow.
So cool. Well, that leaves us with DIMAGA Socke, which, you know, that might disappoint by comparison to that.
Wow.
I mean, we've already had 2 incredible games out of DIMAGA.
I mean, I'm actually just speechless that was the play to pull the win.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't just like, it wasn't like a luck moment. It was like carefully planned and well executed. I mean, just a gorgeous, gorgeous moment. Wow. And now we get to see DIMAGA versus Socke. I mean, these have just been fantastic matchups back to back to back to back.
It's been great. I do feel that the Socke matchup is certainly going to be a lot more passive. I mean, talking about 2 very passive, economically focused Zerg players. What am I talking about? Zerg players. Pro players, whereas Socke, of course, plays Protoss. Socke getting aggressive early game is something that you don't usually see. I haven't seen Socke play in a long time, admittedly, but I saw him play a lot in Wings of Liberty, and he always played the same. Super, super passive, and a focus on efficiency.
Yeah, he's always loved really deliberate compositions that are designed to get extraordinary value in certain situations. He's not the sort of guy who you'll see do really aggressive, you know, Zealot Warp in Phoenix play, because that relies on, you know, a lot of circumstance, a lot of really good micro, a lot of you making the value happen. He prefers something like Void Ray Colossus, or like the Void Ray Zealot Archon openings he's been a big fan of.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be. DIMAGA's going to take 3 minutes, and Socke, as usual, takes a while to get into games. That's a trademark of his. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, Socke versus DIMAGA is the decider in this amazing series between Ukraine and Germany. Don't go anywhere. Oh, yes, indeed, folks. The ace match right here of Germany versus the Ukraine. Socke taking on DIMAGA. And usually you'd be saying alternate attack Socke versus MTW DIMAGA, but they're both actually teamless right now, I believe. Very strange.
This is just Socke versus DIMAGA.
Straight up. They don't need teams.
A sexy map.
Oh man,
this is going to be an absolute
station.
It's just going to be so great. I mean, like, these 2 players, we haven't got a chance to see Socke play yet. We've gotten to see DIMAGA play, and oh my goodness, is that amazing.
Oh yeah, it's been good. It's been very, very good. These 2 players have been putting on one hell of a show up to this point. These 2 teams have been putting on one hell of a lot of a show. We haven't got to see Socke play yet. DIMAGA is just a monster today, and that's what really impresses me about it. It's 2-2 between 2 of the best teams in the league. This is the deciding match, and it's a great map to do it on. To the northeast position of Habitation Station in the red trunks, representing the Ukraine, it is DIMAGA. Versus his opponent to the northwest position, they have woken the sleepy German Snorlax, and he is not pleased. In the blue trunks, playing Protoss, the one and only Socke.
Man, I'm so excited. Oh my god, I'm so hyped after those. Like, this entire series has been spectacular. I mean, what an amazing Baneling blast. What an amazing, like, 100 drone play with a billion bases. Oh my gosh, it just was... It warmed myself to see.
It really did. And honestly, these matches between the Europeans have been incredibly entertaining up to this point. I think you can very clearly see why a lot of the audience is in Europe watching these European tournaments, because the level we're seeing here is, you know, maybe it's not Code S, but it's pretty damn close, and it's impressive in its own right. And we're seeing a lot of variety as well.
I mean, it's really opened up a lot of thought, because, you know, I still remember the days, you know, when in Brood War you would hear, here are 4 maps in this map pool. And you would say to yourself, all right, I have 12 things I need to prepare. 1 build on each of these maps and each of these matchups. And the maps were so different, it was like almost obvious that you couldn't use the same build from map to map. And then we look at, you know, a lot of, I'd probably say 1 year ago Starcraft maps, and they were similar enough that you could have a build and just do it.
Yeah.
And Habitation Station makes me so happy to see it sort of breaking that mold. Same with Daedalus Point. You know, we got HeRoMaRinE doing some psychotic double factory, double reactor play. This is so great.
Even Altazim has actually been really entertaining today, which is something I didn't expect. And we've seen a lot of variety in gameplay as a result of the inclusion of Altazim and Habitation Station. The only time I've seen Habitation Station during this tournament not really yield a good game, I think, has got to be Mana versus Snoot. That ended up being a bit of a slugfest. It could have been very, very good, but, well, Swarm hosts do have a tendency of putting a dampener on things when you end up in that situation where the Swarm host amount is so much that you just can't fight it head on and you end up in this really slow, torturous grind.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every beautiful strategy has its degenerate cases. And it just happens to be the longest degenerate case in the game.
Yes. Indeed.
So in this position, really interesting choice by DIMAGA to elect for this southwardly expansion. To me, this says, I want to go Mutiling. I want to take a base that is hard for you to attack. I can easily defend and use this distance, and my mobility is my greatest defense. So I really like the setup that we're seeing out of Socke. It's an extremely aggressive opening. He's gone expand Mothership Core, Stargate. There's no sentry, there's no nothing. There's just great scouting from Socke to identify that there's no possible way he can be pressured right now.
I really like the fact that DIMAGA took that lower base, especially against the Stargate opening, because it just leaves... Instead of taking this gold base, which is just incredibly vulnerable to Stargate units, it makes things a little bit trickier. It means that DIMAGA's gonna, at least he hopes, take a lot less damage from this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, it's so easy to look at a map and be like, well, let me just do a normal 3-base Zerg thing. And, I mean, there's a gold here, so I'll do better 3-base Zerg thing. But positioning is more important than resources, especially in StarCraft, because... StarCraft 2, that is, because your positioning before the battle has so much more relevance than any micro you can do within the battle. So we're seeing right now, oh, look at this DIMAGA scouting that pylon. And see, it's so much harder for Socke to continue to pressure now once he loses that pylon. And it's all due to that distance positioning.
Indeed. I wonder if he can actually defend the pylons. Another one going down there, and then he might warp in Zealots behind that. The Oracle could also come into support, which would decimate a large amount of Zerglings, but it doesn't have enough energy to kill 40 of them. So Socke goes in, and he's kind of a little bit indecisive with that Oracle. Decides to go into the mineral line. Now he's going to kill a few units here and there, so that's fine. He gets 5 drones, takes a lot of damage on the Oracle, but the Lings come in. Yeah, I mean, that's not going to happen. Those Zealots are getting obliterated, and one pylon is cancelled. The second one will go down. And I don't think he's going to bother saving that Zealot. He's just going to do as much damage to Lings as he can, but that pylon is dead.
I anticipate we're going to see Lair and then swing up to 4 gas almost immediately from DIMAGA. He kind of does need to begin going for his Aspire tech, and he's equipped himself to do exactly that. But no double evolution chamber. I mean, the Oracle in the main's doing a little bit of damage, but the double Evo kind of indicates he wants to go for more of a Ling Ultra E style.
We're seeing 3 Oracles out of Socke here, which is an abnormally large number of Oracles most of the time.
Wow.
We actually saw, if I remember correctly, wasn't it in Red Bull, where it was Red Bull Battlegrounds, where we actually saw MC go even higher than 3? Kind of went for the Disco Ball build, I suppose.
Yeah, he went for 6 Oracle and then transitioned into Mass Air with like Void Rays and Tempest and all the usual shenaniganry. Again, it's one of those examples of a player really dedicating to what the map says would work, as opposed to trying to force a build that might not to work. So, but now we have the 3 Oracles moving into the Expo.
I mean, this would gut a mineral line incredibly quickly if it's not well defended, and I have a feeling it's not going to be. There's only 1 Queen. That's nowhere near enough. In fact, they could kill the Queen with this. He tries to focus. He gets it. The entire mineral line's going to get gutted. Socke.
Oh my god.
Sneaky bastard.
Oh, this is going to do so much damage. Jeez. Right now, the total workers killed off is going through the roof.
26? What?
30, 31, 32, 33.
Good God in heaven. Socke decides, oh, you know what? I'm going to show him 1 Oracle. Then I'm going to bring in 2 more. He'll never see that one coming. And he didn't. He completely blindsided DIMAGA. He's destroyed DIMAGA's economy. 31 drones versus 47 probes. DIMAGA with only Lings on the map. There's a Void Ray on the way out. There's a Phoenix out there to scout as well and start to pick off Overlords. This is a nightmare for a Zerg player.
I mean, the only thing that Socke can do now is build only drones, then almost only Queens for defense, so that way he can save his larva for droning, and then get those upgrades all the way up. But his layer's delayed, so his 2-2 can't be happening yet. He's building more lings because he feels obligated to try to take out this golden expansion. And he does get a good surround. Wow.
He's able to make it in there. The time warp goes down, however, and Socke can drive that away. He's got enough zealots. He did lose an oracle in the meantime. He missed Mike with that as a result of having to try and defend this gold base. So 1 oracle did go down. Of course, 2 is a little bit less scary. Admittedly, it is still pretty terrifying. I think it's safe to say, though, Socke has an incredible lead at this point.
Just an astounding lead, and is going straight into Zealot Archon. I mean, this is the way that Socke likes to play. It's just high value. Right now, these are 1/1 Zerglings.
Yes.
So they are getting some good efficient trades.
Indeed. The Oracle comes in to try and fend that off, and it will eventually manage to do that. But those Zealots with +1 usually would slice those Zerglings up in 2 shots, but with 1/1, not so much. They can survive 3, and they can also do a lot more damage. So Socke losing a few more units that he's usually comfortable with here.
In this position, Roaches is the answer for DIMAGA. That to me screams desperation. What we're seeing out of Socke is that he's done a brilliant job defending everything with only minerals. Only zealots at the front.
Yeah.
And now he has over 1,000 just morphing into Templar. Soon enough, he's going to be having an army of 5 to 6 Archons, and then he just adds on more gateways, attacks. He's likely going to make a big push at 16 minutes.
Socke trying to take out another queen, fails to do that. Doesn't really matter too much. There are 6 queens, and loses another oracle in the process, which... Oh, and the 3rd, actually. That was a silly mistake, letting that happen. And DIMAGA is able to take all the oracles out, leaving him with, well, not so much air. That doesn't mean that Socke's out of it, though. He's still got a lot of gateways, and as you said, Zealot Archon is the choice here. Huge amounts of Templars being warped in to make this happen.
And I mean, like, losing your air stinks, but it doesn't lose you the game.
No.
One thing that's a little counterintuitive is that Zealot Archon, in terms of absolute value, if you just engage a Zealot Archon army at a Roach army, even if the Roach army is doing some micro, the Zealot Archon army crushes it in terms of value. I mean, like, 2 for 1 in terms of value. So, I mean, despite the fact that DIMAGA's doing this gigantic push, it's very likely that everything could just go horrifically.
Well, let's see how it goes. There are 4 Archons in the mix with +2. That's a lot of damage, but there are a huge amount of Queens here as well, and Socke doesn't actually have the Zealots because he's running them round the back.
The Queens might very well be the key here. Yeah, what are those Zealots doing there? The only way that Zealot Archon can just obliterate a Roach army is if there are a lot of those Zealots. Zealots are basically the key in this position, but DIMAGA, look at with all these queens, what a wild look.
Oh, that Roach won't die! That's kind of insane. He actually has 11 queens, a huge number of them. We talked about DIMAGA's queen play. He's continued to build queens. He's gone up to 14. The run-by comes in, which is going to do some damage, but this is still going, and DIMAGA's not dying.
Looks like the warp-in is going to cause DIMAGA to want to pull back a little bit, but we're seeing huge damage from the Zealot counterattack down at the bottom right side, and DIMAGA's trying to re-rally to just do a little bit more damage, and there's transfuses just freaking everywhere. Queens, the counter to Zealot Archon, somehow.
As illogical as that seems, it makes it, it's a big ball. It's very difficult for the Archons to get in there and do that AoE splash damage. They're hitting 1 unit at a time because they're big and fat. The Zealots can't even get a good surround because, again, unit is big and fat. So at this point, DIMAGA actually gets a surprisingly good trade. Not only that, but he gets the 3rd base, gets a supply lead. He's finally got to clean up these Zealots, who have done a fantastic job, by the way. He's only on 29 drones, but he has 14 Queens and 18 Roaches.
I don't think DIMAGA is going to be able to pull this win off after right now. It has to work here, or that's it. So he's going to be relying heavily on these queens to deal most of the damage, and I think maybe now he's going to begin the retreat. I mean, even just pulling these units up to try to kill off the gold base is a big risk with these queens here.
Yeah, because if it suddenly out comes Socke and gets the queens, which he's trying to do right now, then that's a huge loss. That's pretty much most of DIMAGA's army. He's going to be able to keep them alive with some clutch transfuse. The Lings coming in. Oh, he's looking to try and get into the base. He doesn't. Socke manages to block that off.
Well, still, I mean, we're seeing more queens, more Roaches move to the front. I mean, these are the hidden strategies of Zerg that nobody talks about. Mass queen. There's 12 queens at this battle right now.
That's a bunch of undying Roaches if the mic was good enough. A DT. Oh, sneaky.
Oh my
Socke
God,
got
Templar.
DTs out of it.
What a play! What an answer from Socke. I mean, this is the creativity that keeps him in.
Wow. Fantastic. You're warping in from that high ground pylon onto the low ground. There's no detection. And suddenly DIMAGA's army falls to pieces as Socke gets the perfect answer.
Oh my god, and DIMAGA didn't kill off the Nexus at the top side. I mean,
he's not going to get it.
Oh, wow. Socke
game
is so sick.
Can we have habitation station in every... Oh, GG!
No way.
Can we have habitation station in every tournament? This map is brilliant. There's so much cool stuff happening here. That is... And Socke pulls it out.
Incredible. Wow.
Ridiculous game.
I mean, that's a very smart move to say, okay, well, if you killed me with a whole bunch of oracles, that was a lot of gas that you were spending early. That means all of your tech is going to be delayed, so your air units and gateway units. So to attack with 11 queens and to keep making them is just a wild decision.
And it did the job all the way up to the point that those Dark Templar came. And I think that really was kind of the only answer to that, at least the only reliable answer that really would have hard countered it. Because let's be honest, Immortals aren't really going to do that much. Archons, the Archons were just getting nuked. I mean, as soon as they got in range of the Queens focus fired down the Archons and killed them almost immediately. They weren't doing anything. The Roaches weren't dying because of the transfuse. But there was no Overseer. He didn't... If he'd had just one Overseer, he may have been able to actually win that, but he wasn't expecting DTs.
I mean, oh man, it's one of those what if game moments where you really want to throw out, well, if he had just one Overseer, he could have done it.
Just one. I mean, only one.
Just one, and he would have seen that, and he would have at the very least been in an amazing position. I mean, just remarkable. Just a great game from DIMAGA. Brilliant responses, mind gaming, metagaming by Socke. Really fantastic. That does mean that Germany will be advancing on tomorrow's first place in the group. In the lowers, we're going to have France battling against Sweden to see who will stay alive and face the Ukrainian boys yet again.
Oh, that's a reward, isn't it? Here, you get a chance to face the Ukraine after watching what the Ukraine just did. Whew, I don't know. Even though they lost that series, it was ridiculously close. The Ukraine just had... They just have really good players. All of the Ukrainian players have done really well today. And that's impressive because most of these teams aren't necessarily that well-rounded. Ukraine is... Any player could win the series for Ukraine. And that's what impresses me about them.
Yeah, I mean... And you know, whether it's win or lose, this is a recreational tournament. This is to, you know, show how great the players from varying nations are. To throw in some prize money in a tournament structure for everyone's fun and enjoyment. And my God, is it bringing us great games. That is the best part of all.
Yeah, it is. These games, that series was just fantastic in every way. We saw almost everything you could possibly hope for. We saw some amazing matches. We saw great games on Altazim. We saw great games on Habitation Station. We saw no Daedalus Point whatsoever. It was good.
Well, we did get to see that one game on Daedalus Point.
That was a fun one.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It was also a short one, blissfully so. But yeah, this has been great. And now we get to see who's the best. The sort of much reduced Swedish team, lacking a lot of their big names, or in fact the French team that has an up-and-comer, and then of course Daishi, the powerhouse, and Todd, who on a good day of course can take down anyone, but on a bad day gets killed by Proxy Thor.
Well, that's fortunate for him. It's gonna be his second chance.
Yeah,
coming up in the lowers.
Absolutely will. Sweden versus France for elimination, ladies and gentlemen, will be coming your way in a little while. I believe we most likely have a scheduled break. I'm going to try and double check with the admin here. I also believe that you may have to leave at some point in the
I'm going to cast as much as I can of this upcoming match, but alas, the event was scheduled to go until 2 today.
It was.
So I can stretch it till 2:30. So.
Yes, it was a scheduled 6-hour event, and, well, yesterday was 10. So I think they may have underestimated how long 5 best-of-5s take, but never mind. Alright, we're going to go to a break, folks, and I assume there's going to be the customary 15 minutes. If that's not the case, we will come back and let you know. In the meantime, please do enjoy the music. O Gaming presents Nation Wars, brought to you by Daily Motion, and of course, Numeric. We'll be right back.